Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Vince.
It's been a really bad day, hasn't it?
We got Chris.
Look, I'm not me. I'm some other guy.
Okay, hi, welcome to the show. Vince, did you say it's Banner?
Yep.
Really bad day? It's
Yep.
like, okay, so we're doing the Hulk today. Hi, everyone.
I don't know if Rick Jones or Hulk told that joke now that I'm saying it.
I don't remember that in the comic here. I feel like I would have
There was definitely
that.
somebody said a dad joke. It may have been the bad guy saying it to Hulk. I don't know. We'll get there.
It's Banner, really bad day. All right, hi everyone. We're doing the Hulk today. We've have we ever done a Hulk comic?
No,
on this show
we have not an explicit Hulk comic. We're like
how
the
many,
Marvel universe.
Yeah, how many have we done
Marvel
that the
movies.
Hulk is even in there? Yeah, he's like yeah.
Yeah, we did. They did one movie and he'll show up in Thor Ragnarok and call it a day. Because we've been floating around like Planet Hulk for forever. We just never have gotten around to it because
we've never done Planet Hulk. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's in a few things we've done, like Infinity Gauntlet and those like big stories.
Oh yeah, true.
And we may have done his first issue. No, I don't even think we did that. Or like our Stanley special.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. Well, anyways, we recently George Perez has been in the news, and we wanted to read something of his. We read a lot of George Perez all the time.
A lot of George Perez, a lot of the heavy hitters. Infinity Gauntlet, Wonder Woman, Teen Titans, just a ton of stuff.
Yeah, and we'll be readting some more coming soon with him, of course. He's one of the greats, and he's announced some bad news and all that here. Let's not even get into it here.
Not like bad political news or like canceled news. No, he's
health wise, he's not doing too great. So we just wanted to make sure we got some time to read more of his work. So we are reading The Hulk: Future Imperfect, written by, did I write this down?
Peter David.
Peter David,
which is also
a
legendary Hulk writer, which we've been also talking about writing. Because quite frankly, I don't want to read a Hulk comic. I hear The Immortal Hulk by Al Ewing was really good, but other than that, I've never run. But I hear the Peter David run is really good, so that's one.
Yeah, I've never read Peter David's Hulk run either. Have we read anything of Peter David's on this show?
I don't think so.
I mean,
it's kind of weird. He's a pretty prolific writer.
Did he do any of the Age of Apocalypse stuff we just did? Because I know he's involved.
No, that was Mark Waid. He was a big X Factor writer, though. Multiple times.
As we go on, I guess we'll read his stuff.
When we get to more Age of Apocalypse, yeah.
But yeah, then he did. What was this big Spider-Man story?
He did Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, where Flash Thompson.
But he did one in the late '80s, early '90s, but I don't think we've done it.
No,
he did like Crime Wars or Gang Wars or something like that. But
I get him and Paul Jenkins confused just because they're kind of their era and the P in the name that starts with the P.
Right. Yeah. Well, he's a little before that, and he also, he did X Factor, which we should cover, the '90s X Factor or the 2000s X Factor. He did X Factor in the '90s, did about 20 issues that was very well regarded, and then came back in 2004 or so.
Right after, was it House of M, or was it post?
I think it was
Avengers?
Right before House of M, but it was right around
with Jamie
Somewhere
Madrox and stuff. That Madrox movie, we should read
Madrox.
that.
Yeah, and he did that for 10 years.
Put it on the list.
Probably is on the list.
So good to finally be reading this. I don't think we actually said the name of what we're reading, but it's Future Imperfect, just a 2-issue little mini series by Peter David and George Perez. And then we're going on to, of course, we're still doing our long read of The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck. We're on chapter 11. We're really close to the end. It's getting real heavy over there. We'll get to that. But yeah, Future Imperfect. So we've obviously not read very much Hulk. I don't even know what the Hulk status quo is right now during this, but it doesn't seem to be super important because it is like a self-contained 2 issues. And is this the Maestro's first appearance as well? Have we seen the Maestro? Okay, got it. So yeah, we don't really need to do anything to know anything here. I guess you need to know that the Hulk is not like big dumb stupid Hulk. Like he talks pretty well. He talks pretty intelligently actually in this version, right? Yeah.
This is the version of the Hulk in the early '90s that has he's merged all his forms. Gray Hulk, who's smarter but sneakier, Banner and Green Hulk are all combined in him.
I don't know anything about Grey Hulk, but hearing that Grey Hulk is smarter and sneakier is not what I expected.
Sneaky Hulk.
Sneaky
I don't
Hulk.
like a stealth Hulk. Is he like doing like Metal Gear Solid missions?
He was like a bouncer in Las Vegas. He's definitely the sneaky.
He's doing
Hulk.
the opposite arc of Vin
I
Diesel.
see.
Okay, I get it.
All right, I gotcha. All right, well, let's just jump right into it here, I guess. I guess the years we didn't mention. This was about 92, 93. Yeah, you said early 90s here. But we start in the future. I don't think we get like an exact definition, but it's about 100 years in the future, right? And the lay of the land,
Rick
we're
Jones
in like
is still
this,
alive, so
yeah. We get like a future crowded bazaar, so we can kind of see how the people are just like, living by the skin of their teeth kind of stuff in these huddled masses. A lot of future speak that like, hey, did you slide it? There's we've acquired the Studley, they're saying. Like, I don't know. But it's pretty clear that they're like using okay, they're in the future because they're using stuff that
it's all Cloud Atlas, like true future speak.
Right.
Well, and they also live in the world of the Bethesda Fallout games, so they all have like mohawks and
and so like there's these insurgents that are running through, and they have recently acquired the Studley, is what they're saying. Who we later learned is the Hulk. Okay, I'm just gonna say it right now because I'm like, okay, they have brought the Hulk back in time. Back.
I was say forward
through time. Yes, sorry, forward in time. And I didn't really realize that they had done this until like the recap page in issue 2. I was like, oh, they did it, because I don't know how Hulk got there, but Hulk is already in the future.
They used a Doctor Doom thing.
Okay.
Yeah, we do see Doctor Doom's time machine at the end of the first issue.
See that.
And they mentioned they say it by name.
All right, I've got questions. We'll get to that, but
cool.
Yes, the Hulk has been brought back in time. But I said it again, brought forward in time. These insurgents are, they seem okay. One of them is a real moron. His name is Piz Fizz, and I'm never going to forget this name. I love it. Piz Fizz. And he's running behind a little bit, and he's like, hey, what's going on? Did y'all get the secret thing that we're trying to get? And they're like, hey, shut up, man. And then the gravity police show up. Oh, no. And they're like future police, and they have cars that float and all that. And they name everybody. You have been identified as insurgents: Janice, Piz Fizz, Scooter, and Accord. And they murdered Accord because it's like a warning shot. And yeah, we can get the rest of you too. And they work for the Maestro. And the insurgents kind of run away. They go between some narrow buildings, and some of the cops kind of follow them in there because the cars can't go. But then everything starts to fall apart because the Hulk is here. And it's a very handsome Hulk, I would say, in this splash page debut. He's got nice flowing hair. He looks a little bit like the Jolly Green Giant, I think. I know those comparisons have been made.
His hair does look like Perez's Joker on one of the pages.
Yes,
page 12, where he's jumping towards. It's like the Joker if the Joker was more bulky and had a nicer butt. That's what I would.
That's kind of, I guess, the son of the Joker, and the Hulk would be the Creeper, maybe.
Yeah,
because he's kind of halfway between the two of them.
I'm very usually I expect to see the Hulk show up in his own comic for the first time, and he's just like, rah, he's mad, he's smashing something, right? Hulk smash. That's how it goes. Mm-hmm. I did not expect to see his first appearance to be like a full splash page of him just pointing out at out the panel, just saying the Doctor is in. I think it's not a Hulk. All right, that's fine. But the Hulk pulls down one of their big old flying machines. Then this cool, I wrote down, it kind of looked like a big mouser, kind of a robot shows up, but they called it a dog of war. It's a fun little bit of a fight. Cool robot. Hulk explodes it. What more can you ask for here at the beginning?
Yeah, it's got kind of like, they're like, oh, this adamantium will kill you in like 5 seconds. It'll crush your head. And he's like, oh, yeah? And he immediately destroys it.
Then we jump to this like palace. It has I don't know. I like the design on this palace. It is very futuristic, a little bit of like Wizard of Ozzy. Almost.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was thinking Emerald City, the same thing.
I was gonna say, to me, all of this felt very like Conan. Like this is all a Conan bad guy like lair.
Yeah. And there's this dude who works at this lair, this palace lair thing, and he's kind of a flutter because he's got this bad news. He's trying to take it to the Maestro, who doesn't want to be bothered, but this is important. And so we do get our first view of the Maestro here as well, who is a older Hulk. We don't technically know that he's the Hulk right now. We don't find that out until like the cliffhanger at the end, but they don't really hide it, you know? It's the whole comic is him going, does he know that the Maestro is really ...
Yeah, they don't hide this very well at all. Like, and
are they trying to hide it? I don't think they are.
Well, the fact that the cliffhanger at the very end is like, "Pleased to meet you, Dr. Banner." I honestly don't know because I read it wrong. Also, I'm not gonna lie, because like I don't think they explicitly say that he time traveled forward in that previous Hulk scene. It's just the Hulk is in the future. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
The Hulk doesn't age.
He's just in the future. Yep.
Yeah, Hulk doesn't age. He probably just like, this is just late Hulk, you know?
Oh, and you thought he just aged to hit to this point.
Right.
Okay.
Like everybody else just died around him and he doesn't age. That's what I thought. Also, I think Peter David wrote Hulk the End, you know, in the mid 2000s. So I thought like, oh, okay, well, this is just like a later Hulk story, you know? He doesn't age the same way like they don't age in like Old Man Logan. I was like, fine. Okay, cool. But like I think the whatever, the Chancellor dude or whatever goes like, this is temporarily impossible, and I go, well, that's kind of weird. And then you show me an old Hulk, and I'm like, oh, that means that the other Hulk we saw must be time traveling. Like that's what I thought. Like that's how my brain worked.
I really did just need like a tiny little bit of like just one quick line at the beginning, like we have time traveled the Hulk forward.
Yeah,
like,
or where am I? Hulk doesn't seem to be confused about where he is or when.
Exactly, Hulk has just been there forever. He's not confused at all. That's the other thing. You're right. Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the life of the Hulk is you're constantly in new towns, new situations.
New timelines.
Like,
it's incredible.
What's going on? Okay, that's the bad guy. All right.
I guess I'm smashing.
He's very down with it. He's like, whatever. I don't care.
So meanwhile, and like Hulk knows how to get to the insurgents for the most part. Not really. He's kind of wandering around, and somebody's like, "Hey, psst, Hulk," and they go into some alley, and they're like, "Hey, does anybody follow you?" He's like, "Nobody would dare follow me," which seems like a weird thing to think because somebody did follow him. There's a dude in a hood in the shadows.
Dude, like if I had to do it over again 7 years ago, I would have changed the name of this podcast to Dudes in Shadows.
Dudes in
Such a better name for the podcast.
Pretty good. Yeah. Pretty good. So they were followed, but they take this big old giant elevator down to this like big city that they have down there. And
Hulk is confused about this elevator though, not confused about anything else.
Yeah. And this dude was following them down, so they just like blow up this entrance because they have lots of entrances and it's okay, which seems like a big waste of money because Hulk was very impressed by the technology of just this elevator heading down. It looked pretty cool. But there's a whole community down there, and Hulk is like, pretty cool, but tell me what's going on or I'm going to tear this place down. I'm like, well, all right, Hulk, calm down. I guess I shouldn't tell. I mean, that's probably the most Hulk-like he's been.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the Hulk coming out in him. Yes.
Don't tell the Hulk to calm down. But then also these other people are like, I don't trust this Hulk guy. We shouldn't be hanging out with him. At this point, it is not up to you. He is in your home. You need to convince him to be your friend right now. But he's not violent at all. He's just hanging out. The lady that they're with is that the time gem? Is that what that is? That she pulls out of something? It looked like an infinity gem. And they show. Well, it's like some gem that they use to show images from the past, and it's just like.
That might be a mind gem more than anything, because isn't the mind gem yellow with Vision?
Is that it? That could be it, because it's images from Bruce's mind. Yeah, his memories. But then again, we also see that this technology exists elsewhere. We'll get to that later. They go downstairs and they show the Hulk this room with all these relics and leftovers and stuff from the superheroes who all have died in like this big war that happened.
I'm gonna say whoever designed this museum though, they've got a weird display like sensibility.
It's not very good. It's not good at all. I think Rick Jones did it from his wheelchair.
It's a little morbid because there's like skeletons of heroes behind glass, but then like Magneto's helmet's like taped by a string to the ceiling.
Well, yeah, I mean, Wolverine's skeleton is very unique, so you got to have that one.
I guess that's true.
You can't get rid of it either. Like, what are you going to do with that? I guess you could bury it. You've got Thor's hammers, Captain America's shield, everything. Everything is here.
I like it looks like just a poster of Jean Grey that just says "dead again."
What? Hold on, I gotta zoom in on this. I did not see this. What? What? That is what it said. What? All right, that's great. There's like a big Sentinel head. I thought this guy might be Professor X at first as well. Is that Professor X's wheelchair?
He's sitting in a Professor X.
Yeah, he's in Professor X's chair.
There's like, it looks like there's snacks inside of Sentinel's head.
Sorry, I'm looking at this page again now. There's like a blue thing of fur that's stretched out without a head in the back. Is that like a
picture
bear
of Beast
rug?
There's a picture of Beast next to it.
There is. It's like a bear rug kind of deal made out of the Beast. That's
yeah. So they might have the Mind Stone from Vision. They might.
Jeez. All right. Well,
I think that's the Beast skin, and then we've got Warlock's head and Vision's head.
A sad room.
It's very morbid.
It's a very weird museum.
Doc Ock's tentacles are just like sitting there in a pile, and they're kind of wrapped up, but not really. And
it sounds like they acquired it recently, maybe for part of their collection, and they haven't figured out what to do with it yet.
Maybe.
There's so much to take apart here.
There's a lot of little things. I'm glad we stopped to look at that. Thank you for pointing out.
They've got Captain America's shield preserved and U.S. Agent's shield broken
on the floor.
Very accurate. Very accurate. All right. So who's hitting here? It's Rick Jones in the wheelchair, and they're talking for a little while.
Bitchin', huh, Bruce?
There's a disgusting panel where he needs to quote wet his whistle so he can play his harmonica, and he's like taking a sip of water with a straw he's got there, and then he's playing this tune on harmonica, and the Hulk recognizes this tune, and that's what tells him it's Rick Jones. But they don't tell us what song it is. He's just like, that song, Rick, is that you? Whatever.
Was Rick Jones playing like a song on a harmonica during Hulk's origin, perhaps?
Yeah, he was. I guess playing something whenever the gamma bomb goes off. So I guess it's foreshadowing.
I guess so. All right.
But Rick Jones and Hulk had like a lot of adventures together, right? That's the one he chooses to pick on. I guess that makes sense because everything else could be documented by like magazines and stuff, but not that song.
Not that song. Can't document that song.
Because Rick Jones got passed around as a sidekick for multiple people, right? Like he was Captain America's Bucky at one point, I think we read.
Right. He was him and I forget what his the teen something or other helped the Avengers in the first couple of issues.
That's right. And wasn't he's Captain Marvel's friend also?
Yes, he is the one who trades places with Captain Marvel when he
goes and chills out in space when they Shazam switch powers.
Yeah, when he basically becomes Captain Marvel DC version who switches bodies with someone.
The Teen Brigade. That's what they're called.
The
Teen Brigade.
Who could forget? Why wasn't the Teen Brigade in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Yeah, when do we get a Teen Brigade?
They're going to be there in Phase 4, Phase 5. We got to keep creating new heroes. Eventually, Kate Bishop's going to be too old for these things, and then that's when the Teen Brigade.
It's going to be streaming direct to QB. 4 seasons. You'll hear nothing about it.
Amazing. So now we have the Maestro who is interrogating. Oh, Piz Fizz. We didn't really mention the fate of Piz Fizz and those insurgents from the beginning.
Piz Fizz, what are you going to do?
Yeah, Janice I guess was the leader of the insurgents, and she's fine with the Hulk at the base. I don't know about what happened to the other ones.
Piz Fizz looks like Grandpa Joe from Willy Wonka. Is the best way.
He does.
Boy, Piz Fizz. Piz Fizz really got himself into this mess here. He couldn't escape with everybody else because his leg got fried by a gun or something or other, and he's here face to face with the Maestro. He's strapped into some seat, and smart Piz Fizz spits in the Maestro's face, just trying to get himself killed. And the Maestro almost does it. The Maestro almost loses control until his people are like, "Oh, yeah, we're gonna get into his memories."
Yeah, but I do really like that because it's almost like a Robert De Niro and analyze this. Like, you're good, you almost got me.
You almost got me.
I love the proportions. I mean, I know the Hulk is a big guy too, but like the Maestro is so huge next to this guy. Like his head is like 5 times the size of this like human head, where he just looks like a monster. It's a really cool part of it. Might just be the proportion, like the way he is in the frame, but like when he just gets up in the guy's face, like I would just freak out so badly.
He's definitely portrayed as being very terrifying, also because like his personality, like he's coherent, but he has this wildness of the Hulk as well in terms of like they're showing this guy's memories, and I don't remember what it was. They're like in an apartment, they're trying to find blah blah blah. And Maestro just says, "I'm bored, jump around." And they're like, "Well, that could kill him." And he's like, "I don't care." So they view enough more of this guy's memories and jump around until he's like brain dead. And the Maestro's like, "Okay, now I'm going to kill him and crush him because I can."
It is. I mean, it is cool because you can definitely see like a little bit of the Hulk in this villain. Like this isn't like I'm Skeletor or just this like wholly evil character.
Right.
Like there's a little bit of the Hulk in the Maestro where you're like, yeah, he could just fly off the handle and go crazy. Like he's like built this like Mad Max world for himself. But at the slightest provocation, and like when he gets so mad, he's like, "I have to do everything myself," and he's like boring through the ground. It's just it's cool that he's just like he's this old, again like Conan villain guy, but he's also the Hulk.
Yeah, it works really well. It instantly just kind of makes him a credible and unique villain, and I'm terrified. Meanwhile, Rick is showing the Hulk Betty's ashes. Cool. I don't remember what else there was in this scene. Oh yeah, he didn't remember the word war.
The Piz Fizz flashback where they show them getting, they show them like deciding to bring Hulk to the future. They do that. It's done like by them going through his brain, so it's all in first person. Like, it's a very cool way to like frame the scene and like give us some exposition of like how Hulk was brought to this future thing. Because they wanted, I mean, you obviously want to start the story with like Hulk beating up robots. Like that's where we want to start. We don't want to start with like, pulling him forward and showing all that. So this is a good way to like take a step back. I think it's interestingly framed. And then Piz Fizz dies, and I'm like, oh, I actually kind of care about Piz Fizz.
Yeah, poor Piz Fizz. It looks like a really sad death as well. Like it hurt a lot. So Maestro now knows where their base is, so he heads down there. And like I gotta tell you, he's a good leader. He's not just about like sending people out. Like he starts storming out of the palace, kicking people out of his way, so that he can start literally digging down into the ground and burrowing with his own hands. And he's like, "No, I'm doing this. We're going now." Yeah, great leader.
That's a great image. Also, that might be my panel of the week. Is him like Maestro like digging down into the ground like at an angle. Like it's page 41 on Marvel Unlimited. It's a really cool.
My panel of the week is coming right up after that because he bursts through this metal wall that they have in this place, and he's got all these troops who are coming in as well, and they've got the place booby trapped, and like there's what do you call it, like sprinklers, like water sprinklers at the top, and they start spraying down, and the troops are like, "Wait a minute, what's that coming down from there?" And the next panel is just their flesh burning off of their skeletons while they're screaming, and it's like acid being poured onto them. That's my panel of the week right there.
It's very grotesquely violent from what I'm used to with Perez. Like
it doesn't remind me of any Perez I've seen before. Actually, you're right.
It feels some of these panels like that one you were talking about, like with him like getting the with Rick Jones getting the water. They felt almost like Steve Dillon like preacher images to me, and even now just the kind of like just like detail and like grossness with like saliva, and like melting. This one
Well, and then even so, the end of this issue is like rising up out of like where the like acid. You can see all the skeletons like being like falling into the hole as like a platform is rising up. Like it's a really cool just silent image of just like, oh, here we go. As like Maestro's like, what are you waiting for? Show yourselves. Yep. And like the Hulk slowly just rises up to see him.
It's a good image, and like the Maestro's not fazed by any of this acid stuff, and I do really love these panels with the acid after like everything and the images, and when they're face to face and Dr. Banner, I presume, it looks great.
Yeah, I like because also there's like Resident Evil movie style lasers that cut through like all of his dudes, and then Maestro just walks right through it. And you're like, yeah, this guy's got power. It's a really good way to establish his powers, like in his menace and like powerfulness.
Maestro has a really nice beard too. We haven't mentioned it, but I think it's got like a very nice white.
It's very lush,
beard.
Yeah. He's got, because Hulk just usually has just sort of the green sort of fluff of hair. His hairline's like receded, and it's all white. But then he's got like the Zeus beard, so he's got kind of like the sort of lion look where he's got long balding hair on the top and then a full beard on the bottom.
That's what I hope to have one day. The lion look.
That would be a good look on Yukiya.
Thank you. So on to the second issue, though. There's nothing else we need to mention here. Keep on going. But we get that little recap that say they plucked the Hulk out from the past. And it looked like, okay, so this is what I wanted to talk about. Yeah, they had that time machine that's down there with Rick, right? Mm-hmm. In the basement. Yes. Why didn't they just use it there? Why isn't that where the Hulk appeared? But they were like in an apartment somewhere.
It's not clear. Yeah, I was gonna say it's not clear to me that he was because they say they're gonna send someone back to tell Rick about this.
Okay.
But they don't say like we're gonna move the Hulk forward with this machine. It's not really clear how the actual time travel worked, and there's not as seen in Incredible Hulk number 422 or whatever where
that's also part of, I went and read, and like I saw this in this is a part of the Incredible Hulk Epic Collection is what I was reading this in, and the issues before have nothing to do with this.
Yeah, the issues before are all Rick Jones's wedding. I read those too.
Are they also written by Peter David?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did they take a break from it for 2 months to put this in there? It's like a completely separate numbered thing.
I mean, no, this is separate from the Incredible Hulk monthly. So this may have been like a few months. Like we might have to have gone a few months earlier to find like the connection, because the monthly issues around this time were all, like I said, about Rick Jones getting married.
Yeah, because this is December 92, January 93 is what Marvel Unlimited says.
Yeah, there's a very funny issue where Rick and a bunch of superheroes have a bachelor party, and then Marlo, his fiance, and a bunch of female superheroes have a bachelorette party. And it's hijinks ensue for everyone.
Hijinks. Love those hijinks. All right.
I forget who the character is. Somebody is like, I'm going to show a stag film, because I guess in the early 90s, you could still do that at a bachelor party. And then Rick is like, boy, I must just really be in love with Marlo. Everyone reminds me of her, even this girl. Like, wait a minute.
All right. Well, let's get to Future Imperfect 2 then. So the Hulk and the Maestro. It starts off with a pretty big fight between them. The Maestro at some point picks up one of these like women that he has traipsing around in like a gold bikini or whatever. Picks her up by an arm and a leg, like he's gonna rip her apart. But it was like, no, I'm gonna crush her if you don't surrender. Which is again horrifying. In case you forgot between the first and the second issues that the Maestro was terrifying, then that's a nice reminder. And the Hulk is like, well, she's probably better off dead than living in this world that you've made. So go ahead and do it. And the Maestro's like, oh, you're trying to call my bluff? Then I'm going to do it. And he like goes to whip her down into the ground with like one limb, and the Hulk stop. I feel like that would, I don't even know. That's terrifying. I don't want to be her. Hulk stops him. They keep fighting. That advisor dude is like, dang, this sucks. I almost died in this like carnage and wreckage and whatever. I'm going back to the palace. The Maestro in general has the upper hand in this fight because he has like 100 years worth of extra experience on the Hulk. And eventually the Hulk smashes him into some building. Then the Hulk gets concerned about all these dying innocents in there. Maestro shows up behind him, chokes him out. Everything goes black. And we get
crack as Maestro gets behind him and puts him in the master lock.
There's crack. I didn't even see the crack.
It's spelled out in the text.
Bones. Did you crack his head? Cracked his bones?
That's right. He broke his neck.
Yeah, he broke his neck.
His neck. Oh. But we go back to Rick and Janice at the base, and they're like, "Yeah, he's not dead yet. He'll be fine," or something like that. I don't know how they're keeping tabs on him, but they can tell. The Hulk wakes up, and he is being pampered in a bed that reminds me a lot of like where he was at in that Thor movie. And he's being pampered
there's,
by
there's a lot of imagery of that in Planet Hulk.
Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And he's being pampered by a fake Betty, and he's like yelling like, "Oh, this is terrible! Get away from me!" Because he knows Betty's dead.
Well, and he gets a content warning. He gets R'd.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's like sexual assault where Maestro is like, "Oh, good, she's doing the thing I told her to do to the Hulk," where he couldn't stop it. I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I was like, that's a bit much.
That is a bit much. Yeah.
And then in the next scene, he goes and then in the next scene, he goes and recruits more sex slaves.
You don't even have to read into it. It's literally the text. The Maestro says it. It's like she did the thing, and he can't stop her from doing. Or I was like,
I would say that more naive Vince of 10 years ago would have read like, "Oh, she just like jerked him off, like he didn't want to be." Like, this is straight up rape and sexual assault.
Yeah.
Still bad. Yes, which we haven't seen in a Marvel Avengers book since Wanda did it to Wonder Man back in the John Byrne.
So was this on a different imprint? Maybe is this similar to like the Marvel graphic novel things where they were trying something a little bit like rougher and what's the word I'm looking for?
Marvel,
like
the DC Black Label where you can see Batman's dong.
This wasn't in the monthly issues. This was a 2-part, and this would have just been in comic shops. So maybe they thought it could be a little darker. But yeah, it is. I didn't look to see it. Was this approved by the Comics Code? I can't imagine it was.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, let's keep going. The Hulk is still there. He's like being fed by these women, and the Maestro shows up, and he's like, "Hey, you can't ever actually die." What is it? He gives the Hulk a gun, and it says like, "Hey, you might as well kill yourself if you think it'll get rid of me as well." But there's a lot of time travel discussion here, and like, yeah, you're already here in the future, and I don't remember any of this happening. So if you die, Hulk, then me, the Maestro, is still going to exist. Because this is already a separate timeline.
Right.
And then Hulk's like, well, what if I just forgot? Or what if you're lying? And Maestro's like,
Yeah, later Hulk is like, no, that's right. I know how alternate.
I know how. Yeah, he's like, nah, the Maestro was right. Reed Richards wrote a paper on it that I read. I was just trying to bluff him a little bit.
Yeah, I saw a 5-part X-Men cartoon that explained all of it to me, so I know.
Yeah, I know how time travel works. But he just kind of leaves for a little bit. We get what is this? There's some dudes who are out there looking for Fizz's body as well, and they find it, and he's dead, and they're like, "You'll pay for this, you'll pay!" And then someone else says, "Hey, be quiet, they'll hear it." And then I don't think we ever heard from them again.
And then meanwhile, Maestro goes and like picks up, again more Mad Maxing, where he's like, "Oh, you have a beautiful daughter." And he's like, "Oh, come on, man, we get it. He's the bad guy."
He's the bad guy. We then get like while he's asleep, we get that minister. Wait a minute. There's a bunch of scenes here that I don't remember seeing of them on like horseback going around to like see a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, no, that's when Maestro goes and basically goes and picks up more sex slaves.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he also he tells Hulk, he's like, "Look, like you can like stay here in the future with me, and like we can just rule this place. Like we, the humanity screwed it up basically. Like we're in the Fallout world. I absorbed all this radiation, so that made me stronger. So I can do what I want now. And you can also live here and be like my second in command, I guess." Again, you mentioned it earlier, Vince, but Old Man Logan, like Mark Millar definitely read this and was just like, "Oh, okay, I'll rip this off completely."
Right. Absolutely.
So Hulk is like asleep. He says, "I'll think about it," to the Maestro, and then I guess the Maestro's just like, "Good enough for me. You can go sleep and not be locked up now."
He thinks he's still got a broken neck, but later we find out he does. Like they're both bluffing each other.
A lot of bluffing. Then this like minister guy tries to kill the Hulk. He shows up while he's sleeping and puts a gun to his head. But one of the guards like stops him, and the Hulk stops him. And that's when he's like, "Yeah, this wouldn't actually change anything because of the time travel stuff." Then Hulk's like, "All right, I'm gonna start to get up and leave now." And on his way out,
I was gonna say not just leave. He invites all the rebels in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, and
I was like,
the Maestro is
like, "This is cool." I was excited.
The Maestro is waiting at the door with like this giant damn gun that shoots holes into the Hulk. I don't know what this thing is.
He had this gun, and he's like, they made this. I can't remember what hero. Some hero made
Forge.
it. Forge, yeah, from X-Men.
The guy who made the anti-mutant gun, so it makes sense.
He's like, he made this gun to kill me, dumb. But I killed him before he could use it. And at which point, if I was the Maestro, I would have ruined this gun, so no one could ever use it against me.
That's
because I wouldn't anticipate that a time-traveling Hulk would come to fight me. That would the odds of that are lower than somebody finding it and using it. Like statistics say, the gun in your home is probably going to be used against you more than anyone else.
Well, hey, a time-traveling version of me that's susceptible to that gun.
The exception proved the rule, I guess.
So then all the other troops start firing as well to get rid of all the insurgents, but in the chaos they kind of lose the Hulk, so Maestro has to go looking for him. He follows his trail of blood there.
I don't know how you lose the Hulk, but sure.
I don't know. Then we get this kind of weird subplot where like one of the guards is helping one of these bikini girls and they get saved. I don't know. This doesn't go anywhere. Maestro is still on the hunt. There's a blood trail that he's following it. It leads to Rick. And
he's in a museum somehow.
Maestro is going to punch Rick dead. This is the first time seeing him down there. And Rick uses Cap's shield to block himself. But of course it doesn't work because then the Maestro just punches the shield, which still hits Rick, sends him flying backwards into Wolverine's skeleton, which claws him right in the chest and kills him. Which is a damn fine death. I think that's a very entertaining death. One of the more entertaining deaths I've ever read in comics.
Death Month strikes again.
Yeah.
Death Month. Oh boy, yeah.
Again, so this museum very dangerous. You just have a adamantium skeleton is hanging out there where anyone could fall into it and die.
Put it in a case. But behind him, then the Hulk picks up the shield and throws it at the Maestro, tries to cut him in half. Not good enough, though. Maestro tries to pick up Thor's hammer, and he still can't. Aw, that's kind of funny. I will never not be entertained by people trying to pick up Thor's hammer and failing. It's just like always funny.
Yeah, well, it's because he's evil now. He can't do it. No. And he doesn't get it, too. He's just like, I'm stronger than ever. I don't get it. And then Hulk, I like his line, too, where he's like, we could never be hurt by Cap's shield before, but now I'm throwing it. Yeah. So now I'm throwing it so hard that it actually
got some hurt. Acceleration. The mass times acceleration, Yep. I do like that. I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh, shit. What if Hulk had Cap's shield? That thing would fucking fly.
He could take Ultron's head off just like that. Just movie over.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yep. I really like the panels where he also gets like Betty's ashes stuck in his face or whatever, and like they're not really there stuck in his face, but with every punch, you see these like strands of ash come off of his face. They look, I don't know what it is. It's just like a cool effect that doesn't look realistic at all, but I like it.
Right. And Hulk even acknowledges it. He's like, thanks, Betty, as he's like beating up the Maestro, that somehow her ashes are helping him.
I think he was like, I'm blinded. Like, I can't see or whatever.
Yeah. It's because he's old. He needs his reading glasses now. He's looked at screens too much in the future. So he has to wear glasses most when he's not driving.
Yep. That makes sense to me. Makes sense.
Yep.
So the fight continues for a little bit until the Hulk is on the ground. The Maestro is walking towards him, and the Hulk presses the button to activate the Doctor Doom time machine when the Maestro is standing on it and sends him back in time.
Or somewhere. We don't know yet.
Well, yeah, we don't know where yet. I don't know how he had the time to program this thing perfectly, but he sends him to the original origin site of the
Hulk. I was
going
to say, of course, the Maestro, he's so confident. He's like, if he sent me to the past, I'll just go back to the future and beat him up again. I don't even care. I'll live forever. And then he's like, wait a minute, what's that going on over here?
Because I think he did mention that like he would actually be killed by a nuke.
Right.
Is what he said, I think, earlier. Just
right. Again, yeah, the Fallout super mutant stuff is he's like, yeah, the bombs fell. I absorbed the like excess radiation. If it had been a direct hit, I would have died.
Yeah, so he takes a direct hit here. And he dies. Amazing. I mean, I guess presumably dead. We see his like skeleton in like this glowing flash before, as the bomb is going off. So maybe he survived. It's possible.
So apparently Peter David wrote two Maestro miniseries in 2020 and 2021. I don't know why they brought it back.
Yeah, I was looking on Wikipedia and all of the like summary of the Maestro's origin. I'm like, what are you talking about? Where are you? Oh, it's from this series that just came out. Yeah, because I guess it's all prequel stuff as far as like seeing him like get the power and like become this Mad Max dictator type stuff. So
was he ever a conductor?
Yeah, there's lots of issues on trains. No,
no, like a music, like a maestro.
No, I know. I went for another pun.
Oh, right.
No, I got it. Sorry. It is interesting though because this issue takes place. The storyline takes place between Incredible Hulks 416 and 417, which are like April and May, right after this, because this was December, January, and Hulk does like go visit Doc Samson because he had a traumatic event, and he keeps seeing Maestro in the mirror. So I guess this does like provide a nice little story engine to see like, is Hulk going to become the Maestro? Also, is he going to follow in those footsteps?
Yeah.
And so you can probably get a fair amount of stories out of that following this.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So anyways, the story ends with the Hulk puts Rick Jones's ashes on Captain America's shield and then sends it flying as far as he can so that Rick can go have another adventure. And and that's the end. This book started and ended with the Hulk in the future. And I presume he made it back. Yeah, that's when this ended and he was still in the future. I thought that's when I really went to go check out the regular series because I thought, okay, he's got to just be hanging out in the future at this point, right?
Because that's what Planet Hulk was. He was trapped on a planet for like 12 issues.
Yeah. Why not? Why can't you be trapped in time?
Like I said, this really felt to me, and I know we haven't really covered any of it for the show ever, but like, John Buscema famously didn't really like doing like Marvel, sci-fi or superhero stuff. He liked doing like sword and sorcery adventure stuff. To me, this is Perez like doing like a John Buscema tribute, where he's just like, oh, I want to do like a, sword and sorcery, women in chainmail bikinis and weird sort of episode of the week type storytelling, and that it just ends with Hulk like in the future. Like it feels like it's setting up for another story that we don't get.
I really like that aesthetic too. You mentioned Conan, yeah. It's just absolutely like I love the chainmail and the sandals, but then also having like laser guns. It's fun. I really like that look.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, again, I was half joking earlier, but I'm like, this is literally the Fallout games aesthetic, where it's just like, oh, it's like retro futurism, where everyone has like laser guns, but also acts like a 50s greaser for some reason.
I mean, yeah, it's we've talked about a lot of the weird stuff in here, but I think it's a really good 2 issues. It gets in, it gets out. It introduces a really interesting villain. Gives you a lot of stuff to work with in the future for this character. There's like in 2 issues, they're a little bit longer 2 issues, but I think there's a lot of work.
Yeah, because I think the first 7 or 8 pages where it was just like the future people without Hulk, I'm like,
whatever. Yeah, I
was like, I'm not even gonna remember who these people are. They're just wasting page space till Hulk shows up. But Maestro,
you're not gonna remember Piz Fizz? Yeah, right.
I do remember most of them now, or I don't remember their names, but I do remember liking them. Yeah, it's a good future story. I actually really enjoy. I came out of this one really enjoying it. Perez's art is a little different for Perez, but amount of like same detail, background detail, like he drew way too much shit as he always does.
Yeah, that Heroes Museum is like pure Perez art, where there's just so much detail in that one page where you're like, oh my god, like, and who's you've got Daredevil's cane is like in a tiny little part of, like, there's so many little Easter eggs in that thing.
Yeah, but I mean, there's like crowd scenes also where there's like, I would say dozens of people in the background, to the point where the colorist is like, I'm not coloring all that shit, and then just like monochromatic colors them.
Yeah, that first scene at the bazaar, I'm remembering, had like people having pretty specific conversations as well that had nothing to do with anything. I don't remember, I didn't write one of them down, but like somebody's having just like a conversation that maybe Peter David spent way too much time trying to write something for, but it's like, damn, look at all these people that George Perez drew. Mm-hmm. I bet I can imagine backstories for all of them.
I remember though, Chris, you said, I think probably last episode, like when you saw Perez at a con, like he could just draw these things like no problem, like just draw characters like just off the dome.
Right, yeah, I saw him just do like a black and white sketch, but yeah, in like literally probably a minute and a half, that he just was like, here you go, and I was like, okay, I don't know how he did that. That's amazing. So yeah, he was an incredible artist as far as just like freehanding stuff. But yeah, and you do have a lot of his. I mean, it's interesting because it's not, like you said, it's a little different, but there's still a lot of his his personality in it. Where I do feel like there's a lot of like big Perez type of moments in it, like the crowd scenes, and then of course like the shield and those fights are very Perez. So I thought it was very cool.
Overall, really good stuff. I recommend this if you've never checked it out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Maybe one day we'll go back to some more Hulk at some point, and whether it's Peter David or somebody else, or maybe we'll read some other Peter David stuff.
Maybe we'll just go right at the next one, Incredible Hulk 417.
Yeah, maybe we will do this wedding storyline. It looks fun.
I don't think that's going to happen.
What?
I guess it could in the future. Who knows? But it's not what we have planned for next.
It's an imperfect future, Kia.
It's But it is time right now for us to go on to the life and times of Scrooge McDuck. We're on issue 11, just 2 more to go. This one and then the next one. And then after that, we'll announce our next long read, which will be more George Perez.
Oh, wow. Whoa, what a tease. I guess we're announcing it next week or next episode.
Well, yeah. It's...
Could George Perez have more work that he's done in his, 40-year career?
I think we've read everything. Maybe that'll be our first podcast goal, to read everything that George Perez has done. I don't think we're going to get there.
I forget. He did something for CrossGen, but I don't remember what now. Well, I'll have to dig it up, whatever it was. I'm sure it's in a $2 or a 25-cent bin somewhere.
All right, so on to Scrooge McDuck, part 11 here. All right, so what happened last time? Scrooge moved to Duckburg. They built their giant safe. And he's ready to start building his empire.
Him and Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, him and Teddy Roosevelt were friends.
Together. Yeah, his sisters are there with him. Except in this, he is still kind of traveling across the globe, finding other opportunities to make money and start up little businesses everywhere. And
he's
I guess
the world's first billionaire, but he wants to become super rich. Which
he wants to be number one on the Forbes magazine.
On the most rich, yeah. It's Forbes. I guess just has like a physical list they send you that has an arrow that points to where you're at in the rankings.
It's like a YouTube's rankings thing where they send you like a platinum. Yeah, whatever.
Something
so
that.
This is 1909, by the way, according to the front of this volume.
And Scrooge is still traveling around, which I imagine, like, from John Rosa, who wrote and drew all this, that from his perspective, it's like, okay, I've gotten Scrooge back to settled in Duckburg, but he still has so many other adventures I haven't written about. So this will be the way I can kind of like patch all those into the story here. It's like this is the time period where he's kind of doing everything else and going everywhere.
Right. He wants to set the table for the whatever it was, Bald Mountain or whatever, the first Scrooge appearance we covered, where it's him like sitting in the empty room where he's like, I hate everyone and everyone hates me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so Scrooge is like just sending money back home. His sisters are kind of running the show back there and dealing with it. We start with them. They've just received a cannon that Scrooge has sent. And Scrooge is in the cannon to avoid paying travel fare, which is
so
perfect.
Cheap.
Perfect.
I love it. I also like. Perfect. I mean, I commented last issue that I really love his having a stable supporting cast of his sisters. I think they give back to him a lot, and they bounce off of him really, really well. Unfortunately, they're not in that many pages of this story, but at the beginning they are. And I think,
but I think their effect definitely lingers a lot as well in this. Like they're a pretty important part of this. So they are, they're talking about how like, hey, you shouldn't be going on traveling anymore. Just come settle down. And I was like, no, I'm still going out there. Who's got the 25 years of experience dealing with deadbeats? Nobody, just me. I got it. Hey, let me tell you about this story where I was in Nevada and this gang came up and they tried to rob me and they shot my hat. And then I ran back at them and said, pay me for my hat. Great story, Scrooge. Great story. I kind of thought this issue after this was just going to be him telling a bunch of stories about like, I went here and I did this and I went here and I did this.
You weren't expecting zombies to show up, is what you're saying.
Definitely no. So they introduced Scrooge to the new secretary. What's her name? I wrote it down somewhere. Emily Quackfaster. Yeah. Scrooge is like, what? How can we afford a damn secretary? And then when they show him the whole office staff and he faints, it's good stuff. It's great stuff.
He again is like the 45th richest person in the world, but he's like a secretary. No.
So the sisters like they throw coffee in his face to wake him up, which apparently Emily Quackfaster spent her first week of salary on the pot of coffee. Nice job. But the sisters wake him up and they're like, hey, we're gonna come with you on your adventures now. We're gonna leave Quackmore, the fiance, future father of Donald. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
He is gonna be the office manager. And so they go on traveling.
I like how he's like, of course he wants that inheritance so bad he won't screw me over.
Yeah, I did like that. He's like, his selfish belief in that he'll get an inheritance will keep him loyal. And they're like, what?
So him and his two sisters go to Africa, and they meet with some like a tribal chief there who Scrooge buys a diamond mine from this African duck chief, and he pays him with it's a quarter, but he says it's a miniature portrait of the chief of his village, and so he's like, oh wow, and they bought a diamond mine for 25 cents.
This is now the part of the book where Scrooge exploits indigenous cultures.
Yeah, and his sisters are not happy about it. His sisters are like, "Hey, you lied to that guy. That's not okay." And Scrooge is like, "Listen, it's fine. I'm just making money here. Calm down."
More like Scrooge McMusk.
So
guess that's an emerald mine.
Yeah, all right. So Scrooge is
Jeffrey
now
McDuck. Those. I don't know.
All right. So Scrooge is what did this guy tell him? That there's like another piece of land that's pretty good, but there's a voodoo tribe that's like, they're not going to sell because it's sacred to their gods. And Scrooge is like, no problem. I'm going to go take care of this. So Scrooge goes in. He's like, hey, let me in. I want to talk to y'all. And some pit opens up and they drop down. He's talking to their voodoo leader. And he's like, hey, your gods are phony. Sell me this land. Here's pictures of our leader, Abe Lincoln. You want these? And the voodoo god's like, oh, my God, I've been so damn insulted. I'm going to put a curse on you, blah, blah, blah. They throw Scrooge out. They, tie bones to his hair and his cheeks, and they stuff him inside of, a pig's body? Is that what's going on here? It's a pretty gruesome little scene here. But Scrooge is pissed. He's like, how dare they embarrass me? And Scrooge goes and gathers up a mob to take out this voodoo village, and they completely raze the place and they burn it to the ground and they destroy everything, and it's kind of horrifying. Scrooge.
Not only that, but then he's just like, oh, there's the leader. He disguises himself.
Oh my God, this shit. Yeah. So okay. So first off, the sisters are out of here. They're like, I'm not hanging out for this. We are out of here. Scrooge has changed. This is no good. They've tied up the leader, and Scrooge is like, yeah, I can't go looking like myself. Let me pat down all my hair and look like a different duck. And to show up and it's like, oh, you poor man, let me help you. And And the voodoo chief is like, yeah, that damn McDuck tried to destroy my village because I wouldn't sell. And so Scrooge in disguise is like, oh, well, here's how we'll get him back. Just sell to me instead, and that'll totally trick that guy. And so this guy signs. He's like, wait a minute, this was McDuck. You're Scrooge McDuck. Oh, no. Really terrible. So anyways, Scrooge is like super satisfied with himself. I think this panel of him like cockily walking back to the camp with his cane and his hat on, he's just so satisfied. But
well, and that's a reference. I mean, like Donald used to like make that affected look, and I guess that's why
I thought it looked familiar.
That's what that's setting.
Yeah,
up.
well, because they cast a curse on this guy, and then I'm like,
I thought that was gonna come back. Yeah,
I think that might. I've never read it.
It might still.
I'm gonna bet it's a curse on Donald.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure whenever the zombie wakes up, it'll go after. Spoiler alert, I guess.
Yeah.
He'll go after Donald because he thinks he looks like Scrooge.
All right. So he gets back to the camp, and his sisters have left him a letter saying, "Hey Scrooge, listen, that's dishonest, and that's not okay. And we know you've had to like live a tough life, and you've hardened yourself and all that, but." We're going home. Just like come back if you change your ways, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And Scrooge is just sitting there stewing and is like, how dare they tell me what to do, blah, blah, blah. And he's listening to, it's like doing a lot of self-reflection, listening to past versions of himself, talking about how they vowed to always, make their money the honest way. And he's hearing from his dad's voice as well.
Yeah, I love the way that's like visualized in the book of his like younger selves and his dad being like, but you always said you were going to do it the right way and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, I know, but I'm just tired of being taken advantage of. Shouldn't I get to do this? And they're like, yeah, but aren't you the bad guy if you do that?
So Scrooge realizes how wrong he's been, and he realizes he has to go apologize to his sisters and apologize to the witch doctor. And as he runs outside, he runs into a big zombie holding a voodoo doll. And it's not like a brains zombie. It's like a typical kind of voodoo zombie style thing. A little more Weekend at Bernie's 2 than Dawn of the Dead. And
again, I guess it's. This came out in the 90s, but it's based on 50s stories, which are, again, sort of parodies of even earlier adventure stories, but like voodoo, not really a thing in Africa.
Right. So this zombie is confused though, because it has Scrooge by the neck, and it doesn't look like that image of Donald that the curse is based on. And he just like drops him and lets him go, and he like goes to look for the right guy, and we'll never have to worry about that zombie again.
Again, I do love the like of him basically like the thought bubble of him picturing like the fancy looking Donald guy and being like, is this him? Not sure.
So we then go look for some. Okay, so Scrooge is like, I gotta head home immediately to say sorry to my sisters. But then he's like, okay, well, I can't go now because the next train isn't for a week. But I could take a boat to Europe because that's a lot cheaper. And he starts doing like the cheapest methods, but then also looking for money-making opportunities. And long story short, he basically gets sidetracked doing that for 23 years instead of heading home. And he... where does he go? All right, so he goes to
the North Pole.
North Pole. Yeah, he's trying to fund Robert Peary's expeditions up there, and he's like, "Yeah, it's because I want to buy the North Pole so that people will always have to pay me royalties every time they look at a compass, and also he can put a surcharge on all the letters to Santa." It's a good plan. Good plan. But then these people are like, "Hey, get out of here! We don't want you." And the zombie shows up. What? I did not expect the zombie to show up in the next scene. But there he is. Zombie falls down a big old crack of ice, and he's trapped in there. So I guess we're good. Even then, the zombie's still confused, not Donald. He keeps it going around. Where are we at now?
He goes to Tsar Nicholas. He gets the candy-striped ruby.
Yeah, Fabergé eggs. Yeah.
Very importantly, this is where he buys his top hat because he was going to be meeting with the Tsar, and he wanted to look his best, so he bought a top hat. And now we have the the very classic Scrooge look there.
Yeah, after he bought the rest of his outfit in exchange for, because it was like on sale if he traded in his clothes 2 issues ago. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. This guy's sale top hats, free cane with every purchase.
Yeah. Then he's on the Titanic, which is again they.
Hold on. This is important though with the Tsar because the Tsar first, he gets all these brown cardboard boxes full of eggs, Fabergé eggs, but then the Tsar tells him that they have this like famous candy striped ruby that has been stolen by the Bazookistan bandits. So Scrooge goes to get that ruby, and now he's got this most expensive ruby in the world. And that's important. Then he's on the Titanic, and somebody's trying to buy it from him, and the guy gets pulled overboard by the zombie who's trying to crawl up.
The zombie gets off the iceberg to get on the Titanic.
Yes. And is that what causes the Titanic to hit the iceberg? I don't know. We definitely see that happen. Good stuff. So Scrooge is like, all right, well, this ship is down. I'm gonna, I still have my ruby that I just got, his new most prized possession. But he gets a little distracted because now he wants to go underwater looking for all the other treasure from the Titanic. He goes to South America, fights some crocodiles. He's this gold dude from El Dorado. He goes to Baghdad, and so they try to throw him off a cliff in Baghdad, and he lands in a train that's carrying money, but he has gained a special skill. All these years of bathing in money has now allowed Scrooge to dive into money and swim through it like a porpoise as well, and jump out of the water and jump. Good job, Scrooge. Very impressive. What else does he do? So he's like buying off. He goes to an island in the South Pacific where he meets somebody else. The zombie shows up here. Again, the zombie keeps on showing up everywhere. But they have their own witch doctors on this island in the South Pacific. And they say, hey, we'll just bind him to our island. It'll imprison him here for about 30 years. And he's like, wow, amazing. He had to trade his ruby egg for it. Too bad. But Scrooge is like, well, I'm sure it'll wear off at that point.
Yeah, I'm sure it won't bother my nephew.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Who I've never met and won't meet for another couple of pages.
Yeah. So Scrooge goes around. He's buying up after the big crash, the stock market crash. He's buying up all the businesses super cheap. He's got an army of birds that he's sending out to do all of his courier stuff for him. That's got to be in a big story somewhere. I kind of want to read the story of Scrooge and the birds. And then finally Scrooge comes back to Duckburg, and he's got a hero's welcome. They're going to give him the key to the city, but he's just kind of pissed. He storms past them. He's like, I already own all the locks. What am I going to do with the key?
Yeah. I do like that his sisters Hortense and Matilda have consistently changed their hairstyle depending on what the the style is of the time, because I guess this is now late 20s.
Yeah, we're now in the 20s, 30s.
They're current. Yep, they're very current. They have thrown a big party for Scrooge. Like, hey, welcome home. He does not care about it at all. He just goes straight to the secretary and says, hey, get those protesters out from outside. What are they doing out there? Install booby traps. They're not even they're not protesters. What are they doing? They're just
they're trying to get money.
Asking for handouts. Yeah. What are the signs? I can't tell if these are real signs or just signs that are from Scrooge's perspective. But it's aid to the lazy. Gimme. The world owes me a living. Fund to abolish funds.
Why would you make a sign that just says "Give me"? Do you really think that's gonna work?
Who knows? It could.
I mean, usually they say "This is for beer. Why lie?" or whatever. They try to be funny that way.
Yes. So Scrooge just goes storming into his audit. He's like, I need an audit of all the money in my bin in 10 minutes. And his sister Hortense storms in, and she's like, who do you think you are? We haven't seen you in 23 years. What the hell are you doing? And Scrooge lashes back out at them. I'm in supporting y'all. If you don't like this life, get the hell out of here.
And she's also, before he storms past,
yes.
I married Quackmore, and here's my 2 children, Donald and Della, right?
Della. Yeah, I've never met Della Duck. Apparently they're twins. Donald and Della.
Well, so Della Duck is a big part of DuckTales, and it's actually pretty interesting because she's barely mentioned at all. She's Huey, Dewey, and Louie's mom because they have to have Uncle Donald.
That's true, yeah.
And so she's actually mentioned, I'm just checking my facts here. She's mentioned in one of the Donald Duck newspaper strips, like in 1937, she writes a letter to Donald, and she's in the first appearance of Huey, Dewey, and Louie, Donald's nephews. Sometimes Donald's cousin, and then later changed to Donald's sister. Sometimes named Dumbella, also Della. And then you know how Wikipedia is, and sometimes factoids are, like, they don't mention, maybe she was mentioned. This may be the first mention of her since like 37, 38. Is in this particular comic book.
All right, Della Duck.
She's awesome though in the
she's in the new DuckTales as like a very smart put together character.
She's got her.
Wait, does she have one leg?
Yeah, she does. She's got a robot leg. She's been trapped on the moon. She was on a moon mission, and Donald was watching her eggs after she laid them, and she got trapped on the moon for Huey, Dewey, and Louie's whole life. So like it's like it's kind of like the long mystery of DuckTales season 1 is trying to find.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is a spoiler for the end of season 1 of DuckTales.
Oh, right. Damn it!
She's got her like full episode of just her trying to get off the moon. Like episode 7 of season 2. It's fucking fantastic. They play like the moon theme for DuckTales, and she turned it like into like a lullaby for the kids. It's with like lyrics. It's fucking great. Yeah. So I recommend the Della. Whatever happened to Della Duck season 2, episode 7. Just watch that. It's a major diversion.
All right.
She's
I haven't
mentioned
watched
in one
all of
panel
DuckTales, but I did skip to that one. That was a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we've met Donald now officially. Donald and Della. And so
Donald
the whole family
follows. Donald follows Scrooge into his office, and he's like, "Oh, I'm glad somebody in my family sees sense."
And Donald kicks him right in the butt. Yow! Donald runs out of there. Great. What does Donald say? Good quote.
And then he has that exact same pose, that same self-satisfied pose that Scrooge had a few pages earlier. You mentioned. And now we're at the first appearance of Scrooge. Pretty much the exact replica of that first panel.
Yeah, and Scrooge is sitting all alone. He's like, who do I need? I don't need relatives, and I don't need anybody. Blah blah blah. And of course, he has all these memories of family, and he's starting to get all sad. And he's about to get up to go apologize again, but he sees the surprise that they've left for him, which is this big, the roster of the rich. And he's at the top now. He's got a letter saying, "Congratulations, you're the richest person in the world now." And so Scrooge forgets all about the apology. The freeloaders outside are leaving, and they're like, "Wow, it must be great to be Scrooge McDuck. He has everything." And his sister's like, "No, doesn't have everything." Meanwhile, Scrooge is just like, "I'm the richest man in the world." Yeah, Scrooge, you're super evil now.
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta say, I know this book hasn't told us that Scrooge is bad, so I assume it's endorsing everything he does, but very problematic. Everything Scrooge is doing.
I mean, it definitely got heavier for a little while.
He would still make Time Man of the Year.
Definitely.
Yeah, that wouldn't stop them.
You should look at the Time Man of the Years as just a string of winners, like problematic people for like the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Hey, I won once.
Yeah. Well, and we know I mean,
hey, you won once too, man.
You're not disproving my thesis.
I think Chris won that year as well. Wasn't that year?
No, Chris won People's Sexiest Man Alive 2014.
Yeah, it's a really bad picture of me too. It was me against Nick Nolte.
No, well, I don't know if is this where Time for their Man of the Year or whoever was like you. There
was the protester one year. I think you also, yeah. But it's been like Rudy Giuliani and Elon Musk and like.
Yeah.
Get me out of that company. I don't want to be kept alongside them. Anyways. So Scrooge McDuck as well, a bad billionaire. We thought he was making his money the honest way, but no good billionaires. No good billionaires.
Whatever. No, yeah. He's got a rollicking good story we've seen here.
Yeah, one issue left here, so we'll get into all that. It does say that the next issue starts on Christmas Day, 1947.
I did flip ahead. There are some Santa Clauses or maybe Beagle Boys in Santa suits. I didn't read it too
much. That's exciting.
I was gonna say, haven't we sort of already covered this? But we'll find out.
Find out. What else are we doing next time? Of course, Scrooge 12, and hey, we're continuing Captain America. It's been a while since we've been to the world of Captain America. We've been slowly making our way through the Ed Brubaker series. We read the first 2 volumes with the Winter Soldier, with Bucky coming back. We're getting close to the death of Captain America, but we're not there yet. Right now we are on Captain America Volume 3 by Ed Brubaker. This volume is called the Red Menace Volume 1 with art by Mike Perkins. It covers issues 15, 16, 17, as well as the 65th anniversary. So again, this was like the early 2000s Captain America series.
Yeah, it's probably was like 06.
2010s Captain America.
It's probably 06, 07 by this point.
Yeah.
I think we probably we're before Civil War still.
Yeah, Civil War is around 25 because that's when
that's
it's
the end of
over.
Civil War. Yeah, because I think because Captain America was such a big part of Civil War, the arc right before that, which is going to be the 5th one we cover before, because it's the 5th trade. It's like a Sharon focused issue and a Falcon focused issue because he doesn't want to trounce all over Mark Millar.
Right.
So this is Red Menace Volume 1, not to be confused with Red Menace Volume 2.
Okay.
The 65th anniversary special is I think it's just him saying I remember me hanging out with Bucky, and then they hang out. It's just a story about them in the 40s.
That's not the one with the vampires, is it? I think that's issue 666.
That might
Vampires. 666. Oh my.
Yeah, I think that's later because I know there's a Gene Colan issue where they fight Brother Blood or whatever the 40s vampire.
That's super late in Brubaker's run.
Yeah, that's later. That's a good just 40s throwback issue where I was like, oh yeah, I really like that Brubaker keeps doing. That's why he introduces Bucky in the first place for the Winter Soldier to do these 40s flashbacks, but I like that he keeps doing them.
Yeah, it's just really hard to look up because now they're all sold in omnibuses. And that's not really the great format for us. But this run also had so many Winter Soldier, Winter Kills one shot, or the 65th anniversary special that tie into the main story. So you have to really look and make sure we know what numbers we are. But again, 15 through 17, 65th anniversary special.
Yeah, so 4 issues total plus the 12th issue of Scrooge, and that's it. Yeah, what else is going on? Happy New Year, everybody. I guess we could have said that. First episode of the new year. What's going on with y'all? Anything interesting?
Nothing really for me. That was a game, continues to pace, but I haven't figured out exactly what format I want to take for 2022 yet. 2021 was all spin-offs of classic video games that may have been forgotten. So you're Wario World, Wario's 3D game, Tetris 2, Mario Party for Game Boy. Those kind of things. It was a lot of fun. You can check that out on YouTube channel. All my friends are right here. The show's called That Was a Game. Also, all of our shows for this. Some of my friends read comics are on that YouTube channel. But I'm not sure what I want to do going forward. So we'll figure that out when we figure that out.
Cool. Chris, how about you? What's going on with Your Stupid Minds?
Your Stupid Minds released our Christmas episode of the 23rd, I think.
Yes,
it was Nutcracker in the Four Realms, the Disney.
Yes, we talked about that.
Yeah, Disney Plus film that everyone remembers. It's all part of everyone's holiday. I'm sure, Vince, you sat down with your children and watched Nutcracker in the Four Realms again.
Yep.
And you had, Diana and Bruce say who their favorite realms were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they all have different. They personally like the 9 realms, but. It was really weird for the thing called the 4 realms to have one realm called the 9 realms. It was really confusing, But
and it's there's so many realms, so many classic characters that we all know and love from the.
Did you say there was no Rat King in it?
No Rat King. There's one.
Yeah.
There's a mouse character that forms into a man-sized mouse monster thing by merging with other mice or rats. But there's not a character identified as a Rat King at all.
It's got to be that thing. I mean,
Yeah, but that's just a mouse or rat.
If I go to the Nutcracker, I expect to see a sexy rat with a crown doing some ballet.
Yeah, none of
Well,
that.
it's in the reboot. He's not sexy. He's gritty, and he's
Or at the very least, the John Turturro Nutcracker 3D, which we've also covered.
I need a Ratatouille situation at the bare minimum.
Yeah, and John Turturro as the Rat King, he sang a little song about how rats were going to run the world. So
who run the world? Rats.
It's a catchy little number, and then he ends the number by electrocuting a shark.
What the fuck?
I looked up an image of this, and
I'm not
happy.
making it up. He does do that. It's all in the movie. It's very like the Nazi imagery in Nutcracker 3D is outrageous.
Okay.
That's not the Disney one though. That's a different Nutcracker.
That's Nutcracker 3D from like 12 years ago or 10 years ago. It's hard to say because the actress who's in it is now in her. It's Dakota Fanning or Elle Fanning.
Oh, from The Great. She's great.
Yeah, but at the time she was like 9 or 10 when they filmed it, and she was already like it was after Super 8 that it got released. So it's hard to say exactly when it came out.
I can't zoom in on this poster. Is Nathan Lane playing Einstein?
Oh yeah, he's playing the what's that character's name? I just covered. He's playing the magician character from the Nutcracker, the one who gives her the toys. Nathan Lane plays that character as Albert Einstein.
I see. Okay.
He has a song too. Don't worry. That movie is at least more entertaining. Nutcracker in the Four Realms, pretty boring. Although if you want to see Keira Knightley be like weirdly into giant toy soldiers, this movie has that. If you want her to be,
that's what I've been asking for.
Yeah, I want her to really be like, those 10-foot toy soldiers are so sexy. And you're like, oh, okay, well. So that's your Stupid Minds, and we will probably be going back to the Disney is all I can really say. I don't know exactly what we're doing next, but we're going to be going through the Disney vaults.
Very good, very good. I'm not going through any vaults. I'm hanging out. Be traveling to Texas soon. That's all I'm worried about. But I think that's it for today. Vince, thank you so much.
Love you too.
I love you. You almost said I love you too before I said I love you.
I know.
Chris, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love you.
I'm being transported forward in time.
Shit. God damn it. No. It's okay. I'll catch up to you eventually. I'm Kia. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We love you, and we will see you next time. Bye.